want to help people, or do you just want to be famous and thought that, you know, Downward Dog would help you get there? All right, that's an easy transition. Look at your...
For more on that.
For more on that, you negress.
For more on that, you shady bitch.
Right, I hate you all.
I hate you all.
I knew retrograde was coming when I looked in the camera and said, I hate you all. And I sincerely meant that shit.
Wow. And the tequila is gone.
It is. This is water now. You guys good? We're good? Has the show started?
Wow, you even do it on this show?
No, I think it's anywhere you are. I'm so comfortable with you. I refuse to believe this is work.
Oh.
Aaron, are we doing the thumbs up? Oh, God. So I had tequila for breakfast this morning. That's the kind of day I'm having.
Wow. that could mean one of two things, though. That can be that is we are starting out because we trying to, we said, do you want to fight?
Do you want to fight?
Or it's actually, turn up.
Turn up. Ah, yeah. No, it's turn up. I went to bed at 8 p.m. Felt my full age. I think I hit you up at 6 like I ain't got it.
Yeah.
Wherever we were going to go, we has turned to I.
You said, I'm getting in my bed.
I'm about to go lay down.
At 7 p.m.
Yeah, and so by 8, I was knocked out, and it felt really great to get into my muumuu and light my candles in my diffuser.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, when you go to bed at 8 and you wake up at like 7 or 8, you slept so much you are ravenous.
Yeah.
So my body felt like it was the afternoon, like I had taken a long afternoon nap.
Oh.
So I wanted food and a drink.
Food and a drink.
And that's how I ended up buying a frozen beverage and poured a half a thing of tequila in it. And then me and Bridget drove over to the studio. For those who are hearing those voices, you know who she is. You guys love her.
I love you.
She's back. Bridget motherfucking Kelly. Yay!
She's back. We're here.
Now, let me be very clear that this episode is different. Right?
Yeah.
This episode is intended to lure you over to my permanent home. Because although I love Human Eyes and we're still going to come up with episodes at some point, I am currently on hiatus, and Bridget and I, for the last several months, since March?
Yeah.
Oh, my heavens.
Yeah, it's been 4 months, friend.
Oh, wow, that went by fast. I'm telling you, it doesn't feel like work when bitches aren't funny. Like, life is easy when you're working with somebody who's easy to work with.
I know, it doesn't really feel like work. I mean, it doesn't feel like work.
No, it's like, okay, we're going to do the thing that we're good at.
It's a good time.
So we decided, I said, Bridget, we have to do a hybrid episode because the people who don't read captions, you guys will watch clips.
Yeah.
You read headlines, but you don't read captions. I've been shouting out for months that Bridget and I have a Patreon show. So we thought if we did a half and half hybrid of half Humanized and then cliffhanger and then pivot over to Everything is Fine, it'll finally stick in your brain that there's a whole other place where I talk my shit with one of my bestest friends. So Bridget, I'm very happy about today's episode. Yay.
I'm too.
First of all, how's marriage been? Because I think everybody who hasn't heard from you on this platform is wondering what's happened since the wedding.
It's a lot of fun. I was surprised. A lot of people initially were like, yo, it's not gonna feel different. It was half and half. People were like, yo, it's not gonna feel different. You've been living together, it's the same shit. But then the other half was like, oh no, you're gonna wake up and feel like, oh my God, like I can't, when I leave this house, I'm not just representing myself anymore, I'm representing you. Every choice I make could potentially affect and impact you and us and what our lives are doing. Any long-term thing that any impulsive thing that I think about now, I have to think twice about or consult my partner on because we're married.
The first time you said my husband, I squealed like a greased pig. I was like, oh my God, you have a whole ass husband.
I know,
This is
and it's
weird.
funny because I said it when I was writing my vows, and I wrote it I said it like 3 times, I think. My husband. Maybe twice. I like paused, and then in my vows I wrote it, and I was like, yeah, I liked being able to say my husband.
It's like that Beyonce song, I'm going home to see.
I'm going to see
my husband. Ooh.
And honestly, that's a real thought. That's a real feeling. That is a real excite. Like I love coming to LA. this is home for me for real. This is where my heart really is. And anytime I'm here without Cheech, I'm like, damn, I want to go home. Like after a while, I want to be with my husband. Like I want to be next to him. I love being up under him. As much as I love everything else.
Look, I don't even know how you leave the house. If I had a husband, y'all would not hear from me for about 12
Oh, girl,
months.
when I'm in New York, I don't. My New York friends will tell you, like, unless we have plans to go to a concert or
That's true.
It's a birthday or it's somebody graduated from somewhere, so, like, it is hard to get us out. It's very hard to get us out.
You know what's so interesting is that the episode that we're doing today, we had a small meeting about it, about the episodes we're shooting, which one made the sense for this audience.
Yeah.
And you said, let's do the one about performative wellness.
Yes.
And it's, to your point, if you're going to leave your house to see somebody else other than your husband, you want to make sure that it's something worth your while.
Yes.
You and I have privately complained to each other, privately, and you guys, this is why half this episode is going to have to be behind the paywall, about how we have gone to several wellness events. Health and wellness events, yoga events, mental wellness events, meditation events, because we're really about like trying to make ourselves better. And increasingly, they felt less about wellness and more about photo ops and who can have a sexy person in the room, and how that doesn't feel like actual wellness. It feels like another way, I don't want to say a cash grab, but it feels like another way to get famous now. How do you feel when you go to these events that are supposed to be about health and wellness and meditation and making life better, but it just feels like a gifting suite for a Grammy weekend?
I have a couple thoughts on that. For one, mental health, the concept of mental health and the treatments and processes around it has become really trendy in the last couple years, for Black women in particular, for Black people in particular, Black women and Black men actually. And so they have become the perfect target audience for people that are launching, wellness ideas about, whether it's, sage and candles or incense or, journaling. And I'm not minimizing any of it, but I really do think that there is, I think a lot of people are barely scratching the surface. And I wonder if there's some exploitation going on when it comes to what people's actual mental and emotional psychological needs are. I think we don't know. We're journeying into uncharted territory for the most part for a lot of us who were not encouraged to go to therapy as young adults or as young people. There are still adults that I know that are like, no, therapy, I don't need therapy. Therapy is a racket. We know plenty of people that feel that way.
Yeah.
So I think we're still, because we are in the throes of what has felt like an apocalypse over the last 4 years.
Felt like, I think it is the apocalypse. To be honest.
It's been really easy to fall into some of these cash grabs. To your point, that ultimately I don't know if the intention is to. I would imagine the intention is to provide some sort of a safe space, but I don't think, without identifying what safety actually looks like, I don't think anyone's doing it correctly.
Safe space. As someone who works really hard to create rigorous safe spaces, I think people are more concerned with building pretty spaces than safe spaces.
Okay.
I think a lot of times when I go to these events, you could tell that people were more focused on the optics than the impact.
Okay.
And so there's beautiful activations, there's a great hashtag, the branding is on point, but you walk away feeling like you have nothing. You didn't have a toolbox. You didn't enhance your toolkit in any kind of way.
Right.
All you did was find somebody new to follow on Instagram.
Right.
So I just helped your follower count.
Right.
I just helped you build your brand, but my wellness actually has not improved or been impacted. And if I have friends that I can talk to, you just give me more friends to talk to. That's great, I guess. But like, it feels a little pedestrian for somebody like me who's been doing the work for so long.
Yeah.
And so it's so shallow that I think people who lack depth are just happy to be in the room.
Yeah.
But those who are looking for actual impact walk away the way that we feel like, I could have just stayed home with my husband. Yeah. I really, nothing, I came out here to support.
Yeah.
But like, it didn't really enhance my life in a way. And for me, if I had a beautiful sponsorship with someone who gave me a beautiful room and nice goodie bags, and people walked away feeling like that, I would feel like a failure. I know there are a lot of people in this industry who feel like as long as the reel looks good the next day, it was a good event. For me, the event being good means that people are coming up to me 5 months, 6 months later and saying that event really helped me crack the code about what I need to do to be a better person, or I took away this gem that I've carried with me. You know what I mean?
I remember feeling this way about a lot of these conferences that are the small conferences, not like the major conferences where there's, millions of dollars being thrown at. But actually, and some of those actually end up really being lucrative events for a lot of people, for the people providing them and also for the people that attend. I have friends and colleagues that have participated in some conferences and festivals, things like Essence, and actually ended up leaving with a job or leaving with, a connection to a company that they really wanted to support and really had provided something.
That's called a networking
them.
event. That has nothing to do with wellness. Yeah.
But I think in the same realm that there's meant to be something provided in that space. If you don't know what you're looking for, you can't recognize that you didn't get it. So I think there's a lot of people that go to, you know, yoga moments or breathing, you know, breath work. I'm Reiki, stuff like that. Those things are, to me, I'm not necessarily a fan. I don't.
Oh, really?
No, I don't. Reiki, I have had multiple experiences with Reiki, none of which have ever felt like they have had any sort of transformative.
Oh God, the Reiki practitioners are about to be in your inbox. Like,
no,
I can't believe
but
this,
but that's why it's important to
Yeah.
specify. Like, it doesn't work for me. I'm not invalidating it. I'm simply saying it's not something that.
But at
works
least
for
they
me.
provided it to you.
But they provided it to me.
Yeah,
But
that
if
I don't have any beef with. Yeah,
but it's similar. I compare it to, like, if you don't know what that's supposed to feel like, what is your reference point? Like, where's the bar? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if
Yeah.
you're somebody that doesn't necessarily understand Ujjayi breath in yoga, and you're in a pose for a certain period of time for the sake of your breath connecting with your body, if you've never experienced that, you may not necessarily know what that's supposed to feel like.
But that's the part of the practitioner or the facilitator, though. I think whenever somebody steps into a space with me, it's my job to give them that language and to help them set expectations.
Right.
So again, you failed in my eyes. If people
Right.
walk away not knowing what they're even supposed to be getting, the person who's organizing the event has failed.
I also think people got to be real about what they're seeking. And I think, to your point, as much as there is some onus on the practitioner, I also think there's an onus on the participant.
Absolutely.
Because you have to know what you're seeking, right? Like, to me, wellness things and like a yoga practice, as much as you might take a yoga class and it's a group fitness moment, it's a very personal walk. It's not, however your body conforms to the poses, however your breath responds to like whatever is happening, even mentally how you connect.
Yeah.
It's all personal. It's all an individual thing. So I think if you're seeking something that is community-based, you have to be clear that what you're seeking that is community-based is not going to necessarily give you the same level of individual fulfillment, because you're not looking for individual fulfillment. You're looking for community. You're looking to fill spaces of community,
Yeah.
which looks different than that in itself is a form of wellness. That looks different than going to try and, you know, figure out how to breathe deeper and increase your mindfulness. Like, all of those things to me are totally separate from community. And I think oftentimes what I've seen anyway, especially at a place like an Essence Fest, and I've gone to, you know, Aloe events. I'm in a run club that's sponsored by Lululemon. When we have our group fitness moments, there's yoga sometimes in some of the evenings. A lot of that is really about, it's centered in community. Community is being centered, not the wellness component, which to me, selling community and under the guise of personal wellness, I think is where it gets tricky. I think that is where I would draw the line. It is dishonest.
I think it's dishonest because everything you're asking would not be asked if there was just clarity of branding and
Right.
clarity of intention.
Right.
To me, that still comes down to the practitioner. Now, if I state it clearly and you're being intentionally obtuse,
Right.
that's between you and your God.
Right.
But I think a lot of people, and this is where it's going to get tricky for me because I recognize that I have a lot of friends who are in this space, and so a hit dog will howl, and I need them to know that I'm not taking any personal digs.
Right.
Universal truth belongs to all of us, right? My first thing is, why are you even throwing this event? Because when I do Own Thy Shift, I'm not throwing Own Thy Shift because I want to give up 3 hours of my Wednesday. I'm not doing Own Thy Shift because I want to be famous. I'm doing Own Thy Shift because I really understand the impact, and I'm excited about arming people with tools so that they can get better emotional intelligence and be in a space of self-mastery.
Right.
I'm very clear about why I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm very clear about what's about me versus what's about them, and I don't conflate the two. I think a lot of people who do wellness events want to be seen, want to be famous, want to commodify, want to be influencers, but there's nothing wrong with that. But then they sell themselves as altruistic gurus instead.
Right.
And so because what they really want and what they're stating they want are misaligned, how are you going to make me align when you a lie? You lying to you first. So you can't even think about telling me the truth. Right. And for those of us who are not lying, who are aligned, we show up to a misaligned event like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
Like, I got a great grab bag full of swag with the name of your sponsor, but nothing. I came here to get a plastic bottle.
Yeah.
From, like, are you serious? Like, I could have got that from AliExpress. And so I think
Not AliExpress.
I'm being serious. Y'all went to AliExpress and put your brand name on some bottles and some tote bags, and then talked about how I get sad on Tuesdays, and then we all went home. Like, no, what did we gain from this? And I think I'm saying this because I'm frustrated, because when people come to my shit now, I'm doing shadow work. We are setting expectations. We are in the mud. Fuck the shallow end. We are in the deep end of the pool. People often come to me and say, Blue, I didn't even know this was possible.
Yeah.
And that makes me really effing sad, because I don't need to be special. I want what I'm doing to be the norm, because impact should be the norm.
Right.
And so I think a lot of people want to be gurus and gods. I think a lot of people who are in the health and wellness space right now are not doing it to help the public. They're not doing it because it's their purpose.
Right.
They're doing it because it's an altruistic, performatively charitable way to be seen. It's like the new, you know how when bottle girls and star tenders became the new rap girls? And you're basically like Cardi B going, and mind you, the thing I like about Cardi B, she didn't lie about it. She said, yeah, I was stripping, and then I became a rapper because I wanted to make enough money to pay my bills and take care of my, like, she's been honest. At least the strippers who become rappers are honest. Yeah. I think they have more integrity than a lot of these people who are trying to be wellness gurus. I'm sorry. I don't believe in using moral virtue signaling as a way to circumvent acknowledging people's bullshit. Right. Just because you're saying namaste and grand rising doesn't mean you're not full of shit. Yeah. And I think that's what's frustrating me, is a lot of the people who write these inspirational quotes don't live that shit in their real life.
Or they're at a point in their journey where they are still trying to figure out what actually works for them.
Switch to Bridget.
You know what I mean? Like that's the part that's tricky for me, is like what is, when you are at a point in your process where you're trying to figure out what works for you, how do you lead? How can you lead when you are not grounded in what it is that you're doing?
That's where hubris comes in, though. Who told you that you were ready to lead?
Oh.
That's my question to anybody who is throwing a wellness event, and no, your degree is not what told you. Because a lot of y'all are dummies with degrees. So that can't be it.
Right.
Who in, fuck theory, who in practical application told you that you were ready to lead? What did you do to be able to tell yourself you're ready to lead? What dues did you pay? What testimonial can you give? What did you learn through application, not just fucking theory, to say, I'm actually ready to lead other people? Because leading comes with a responsibility.
Right.
You can't take somebody someplace that you've never been yourself.
And if we're honest, and y'all not gonna like this.
Uh-oh.
Y'all not gonna like this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Everyone's not meant to lead. Everyone is not good. Everyone is not a good leader.
Even if they're good at what they do.
Even if they're good at what they do.
Yeah.
Right? We've been going back and forth, and I shared something with you about something that I want to accomplish myself. I'm not going to share it with y'all yet, but at some point I will. But I've realized too that to me is rooted in also establishing a level of grounding in my own practice to get to a place where I'm comfortable enough to say, I want you to trust me because I have walked this walk, and I know where it takes. I know where it's taking me. I think getting to that place is important, but I also think everyone's not good at it. There's a talent that comes with public speaking. There's a talent that comes with people relationship management. Interpersonal connectivity to me is a huge part of wellness. If you can't connect with people in a conversational way when you're trying to communicate, even if, to your point, a lot of communication is nonverbal. Even if it starts, the introduction is verbal. So if your introduction is still not creating a space that's safe, but optically it looks great, then what am I don't want to be there. And I realize too, again, I think people are not honest about the fact that they don't want to go deep. They want to go to a room full of fucking plants and sound bowls and say that they were there and post on the gram that they were there. That's what a lot of people want, and I don't think people are honest about that. I don't think as many people want to go as deep as they say they do. I don't. I think most people are lying about that.
I think people are lying about a lot. For me, one of the things that makes
everybody's lying.
Everybody's lying.
Everyone's a liar.
We're all liars.
Everyone's lying.
They're like, oh, this is a great show. You know what I've realized with a lot of people.
We're humanizing lies today, folks.
We are humanizing the devil inside of you pretending to be a god. Because a lot of people come to me, and I've been getting this a lot. Blue, can you tell me what I should do to be a healer? Because I'm convinced that my job is to heal the world.
They're convinced that their job is to heal the world?
I get at least twice a week someone who calls me, who books time with me because they have a spiritual gift and they want to know how to be a guru. And it's happened so much recently that I recognize that social media has something to do with this. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this so respectfully. And if this offends my clientele, that's okay, because the truth will set you free after it pisses you off. You cannot rush your process because you want to be seen by others. Right? Because if you were in a place where you were in your process and steeped in your process, you wouldn't need to call me to ask me that question.
Right.
You would have already gone through the dark night of the soul for yourself and already determined I'm ready or not ready based on X, Y, and Z for yourself. The inability to calibrate for yourself tells me why you shouldn't be doing. No, don't worry about yourself. My advice to all of them has been, the fact that we're on this call tells me you need to worry about yourself a little bit more. Because what are you going to teach them? You still need me right now, right? And you're not using me as someone to help you master. You're using me for the basics.
Right.
And a lot of people, when they do have a breakthrough, the minute they have a breakthrough, they're like, well, how do I commodify this? How do I sell this? How do I create a brand around being a healer? And I'm just like, you're making an inside job external that already tells me you're not where you need to go.
Right.
I was doing this work for about a decade on my own, like working on my own shit, fine-tuning it, literally fighting myself. And then I said, yo, I think I learned something that could be helpful. I started out by sharing little helpful things after I had mastered them. Hey, last month I learned this thing and I've been applying and this is what I've learned. Yeah. I never set myself up as a guru. I never said I was an expert because I was still figuring it out. Yeah. And so I marketed as still figuring it out. 10, 15 years into it, they were like, well, bitch, you done figured out a lot. There's a name for that. I'm like, oh, okay, there's a name for that, right? Yeah. But never once was it about, I want people to think I'm the fucking expert on everything. I think we have expert addiction. Oh. I think TikTok has created expert addiction, where if you have a phone and you can aim it at yourself and have good lighting and talk about something while sounding intelligent, fuck if Google or God agrees with you. You're seen as an expert on TikTok. They've done studies that like a good 60-70% of the things that are on TikTok are factually inaccurate. Because everybody wants to rush to being a fucking expert. And the gag is most gurus are eternal students. That's what's wild to me, is you all want to be experts. I don't even call myself an expert. I'm a student 20 years into my practice. Yeah. And so, and then the words. Can we talk about the words for a second? The misuse of words. Bridget said, and you got to talk about the buzzwords. And
to me, it's not the misuse, it's the overuse.
It's also misuse sometimes.
I don't know who gave some of y'all diabolical, but take it back, because everything is not diabolical.
Yeah. Well, diabolical is a new narcissist. And narcissist was misused, diabolical was overused. I think it's both is happening. And what's wild to me is I think everybody wants to feel something, and so they're trying to use the most harsh, like sensational word that they've heard on social media, but they're misapplying it. Perfect example. We talked about this all the time. Trauma bonding. Yeah. I'm going to say this for the 50-11th time. Trauma bonding, by definition, is when you bond with the person who has caused you trauma. Ike and Tina trauma bonded. You drunk in the bathroom at a club with a girl who has a fucked up boyfriend too are not trauma bonding. Now the spiritualists have tried to co-opt it because it's being misused so much and said, well, even though psychologically it's about bonding with your abuser, well, you know, spiritually you can bond over trauma. Yes, that's called bonding over trauma. But trauma bonding is an actual clinical word. There's a proper application that is very robust that we are misusing all the fucking time. All my friends, I don't know a single person, even I have caught myself misusing trauma bonding, right? Which means when somebody goes to therapy and they're being told that they're trauma bonding with their boyfriend, they are probably going to be less apt to understand the impact because they've heard it misapplied for so long.
So trauma bonding is only when somebody is reinforcing a connection with an abuser. It's not two people that have been abused that have found solace with each other?
No, it's bonding over trauma.
Okay. Okay.
Every single person I know uses that word incorrectly. It's a real word.
I have used that word incorrectly.
Every single person who breathes air around me has used it incorrectly. Why? Because one person got it fucked up because they assumed they heard trauma and bonding and assumed something, didn't talk to anybody who had any sense about it, ran with it, and then TikTok made it a thing. And now I'm the asshole who's using it correctly, being looked at funny at the party. Another word, since we're going to be teaching you about words, sapiosexual does not exist. Sapiosexual is a word that a man made up in a fucking post on a blog in the early 2000s. Okay? It does not exist. The word is actually demisexual. And someone said, well, Blue, just like bootylicious and all these other words can evolve in X, Y, and Z, and why can't we, you know why we can't use sapiosexual instead of demisexual?
Why?
Demisexual is a robust term that is full of clinical theories that have been tested, tried, and true. It's a really big, robust word. Oh. Sapiosexual just means I like smart people. I can only fuck you if you're smart. It flattens down the meaning of the real word. It's a lazy, cheap iteration of the real word that has something to teach you.
Oh.
And that's why I think we have to really stop thinking that just because something is popularized, that means it has value. Because what we're doing is we're cheapening things that actually have real value.
Well, we're also giving validation to things that before they get validated need feedback. And I think that's the part, to your point.
They've been tested.
To your point about expert addiction, I really do believe that people are allergic to feedback. People are allergic to criticism. The minute you open your mouth to give notes that's still rooted in encouragement, people look at you and call you a hater.
Yep.
Which to me is like that no one is telling the truth anymore then. You don't want, and you can tell the truth without being a hater, right? You can tell the truth about, I can disagree with things without being a hater.
Yeah.
That to me, which also it's even in the wellness space when we talk about that, it's like
it's
there's
especially in the wellness
puritanical approach that if you don't, they're just not evolved enough to. And it's like, no, ma'am, I'm just reading through I'm reading through the lines. Like, this looks crazy. This is a lie. This is not real. None of this has anything to do with the personal growth of anybody here. Mm-hmm. It really is about advancement of a brand. And the brand is meant to appear a certain way. This is marketing now. Now this is marketing.
We're commodifying and monetizing wellness.
Yeah.
And then wondering why we are in probably the lowest psychological space collectively of this generation.
I remember there was a period of time, maybe like 2014, 2015, where people were doing marketing panels. Do you remember that era where people were hosting events that were like, business marketing events, but like come in here, blah, 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 speak, pay to hear these people speak. And I remember I went to one out here in LA, and I won't say who hosted it, but I went to one and I was like, and I brought a notebook because I was like, okay, if you're marketing this as we are giving out business advice, we are giving out marketing tools.
I'm about to learn something.
I'm about to go in there and they're going to give me a list of things, a list of like really thought out, tried and true applications on how to advance and scale a business. Mm-hmm. When I tell you, every single person got up and they spent probably 45 minutes out of the hour giving the audience their biographical story and how
flexing
and how God I couldn't have gotten to this place without God. And people immediately jumping on yes, well, as long as you put God first and you stay diligent. And all I could think to myself was like, I don't have a single marketing tool.
Not one.
Not one. I have not been given a single marketing tool other than be humble, find people that think like you.
Sorry.
What was the other one? Oh, pay your dues, right? You got to intern first. You got to start small. Like it was this like, it felt like if you had put, and obviously this is before ChatGPT, but it's almost like if you put like, how do I sell a marketing deal?
You could have Googled that. You could have asked Jeeves that and it would have popped up those answers.
It was that. And I just sat there thinking to myself, none of this, people are making so much money off of sitting here and telling people all they have to do is be humble. Mm-hmm. All they have to do is intern and pay their dues. Find people that are like-minded. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just I could not believe that. I looked around and people were really like, yeah, this makes so much sense. I get it. And I'm sitting here like, what?
That literally, what you just described, is what makes me angry. I get so angry about the toxic positivity that's happening with the wellness movement because and I'm going to use this word for lack of a better word, so I'm not being, ableist. Toxic positivity handicaps the audience. We always talk about good bacteria.
Yeah.
Like you need a little bit of salty for the sweet. You know what I mean? If you eat a chocolate cookie, you put a little sea salt, it tastes better.
Yeah.
That salty is necessary.
Yeah.
Toxic positivity and virtue signaling and spiritual bypassing. Since we're talking about words, and because this show for free is going to give you like real words, right? Look, you can have a notebook. You can have a notebook full of watching this episode. Toxic positivity, we already know what that means because we're constantly talking shit about it. Spiritual bypassing is what church folks do. They tell you that you will find your glory in the afterlife. You just need to pray and fast and everything will be okay and let go of all your anger and just be positive and God will fix it. The issue with that is uncomfortable things are meant to grow you. The thing about that is adversity is just not about you having a testimony. It's also giving you data points about where you're full of shit.
Yeah.
And the problem with toxic positivity is it always paints you as the victim,
Right.
or the victor,
Right.
Never your own complicit, like aggressor in your own plight.
Right.
Sometimes the problem is you.
Yeah.
And toxic positivity doesn't create space for that. And so we have an audience now, people who are defensive because they've been told spirituality just means feeling good. Who the fuck told y'all that?
Which, by the way, is a farce, because if you are doing spirituality right, your initial feelings are all negative feelings that come
All
up.
bad.
If you're doing it right. No, truthfully.
Shadow work sucks at first.
When you come to, I mean, and I've talked about this with so many people that have a spiritual practice, that believe in God, that believe in Christ, that subscribe to that. Being saved does not feel as glorious as it has been romanticized to make people feel. It actually amplifies all of the shame and guilt and disgust and disappointment and resentment and remorse that you have felt. All of that it brings all of that to the surface.
Yep.
To deal with it and face it in a very uncomfortable way. And I don't know if, when we talk about even what wellness actually looks like, you can't breathe your way out of that.
You also can't good vibes only your way out of that.
No.
Some of them funky vibes are full of good stuff. I think the reason why this makes me so personally mad is when people come to my class and I say, pull out a notebook, they're used to what you went through.
Right.
And then I start talking, they're like, oh shit, there's real tools. I really need a notebook. I'm like, yeah, babe, pull out a fucking notebook.
Yeah.
You're getting tools.
Yeah.
And by the time they're done, they have a notebook full of tools. And in their mind, they had given up everything thinking that was possible.
Yeah.
That makes me sad, Bridget.
Yeah.
Because I promise you, what they're paying me is much less than what everybody else is charging. The people who are becoming millionaires off the self-help guru bullshit, who are giving people nothing for thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And I will say this as well. This is why I love the movie Inside Out too so much. I've now seen it 3 times. I took Bridget with me.
You went to see it twice?
3 times.
After we went, you went 2 more times?
No, with you was the second time.
Wow.
I had missed a part because I had gone to the bathroom. And so I was like, I want to see it again. And then I saw it with you the second time. And then I took Brittany to see it the 3rd time.
Wow.
And I love that movie. And every time I saw it, either by myself or with one of y'all, I always said, damn, I need to meet the writer. Well, at 3 a.m. yesterday, the writer of Inside Out started following me. I geeked the fuck. I almost woke you up. I was like, it's 3 a.m. I'm not going to wake her up.
I would have been pissed. But
I know, like, bitch,
I would have been pissed.
don't tell me.
I would have been pissed. I would have been pissed.
And I was like, I manifested this.
I love that.
I fucking manifest. Like, I'm obsessed with the writing. Because I'm used to, for those who've seen the movie, we asked each other, what are our co-pilots and pilots of the movie?
Yeah.
Because there's a ship full of emotions. There's a pilot and a co-pilot. And Bridget, do you want to share what your pilot and co-pilot were?
Anxiety
Was your pilot?
is my pilot.
And your co-pilot? Was Joy.
My co-pilot is Joy.
Oh, do you want to take that back? You sound like you might have changed your mind.
Well, no, I had to think about it, and I was like, no, my co-pilot is definitely Joy, because there are elements of my own self-preservation that's like, nope, we're good. Okay, it's okay. It's everything's fine.
Everything is fine. Literally, everything's fine.
Literally everything's fine, and in actuality, everything is not fine. And I'm glazing over things to just get through them, and that is something that you try to do with Joy. But I also do think that there is an element of always trying to find a silver lining.
Yeah.
And that is the positive part of the joy for me. That's
Not all
where I
joy
can-
is bad. Toxic positivity means that the positivity has become harmful.
Right.
Because toxic by definition means harmful.
Yeah.
So it's harmful positivity. There's positivity that's not harmful.
Yeah.
My pilot and co-pilot were disgust because I'm Latin American, Caribbean, and joy. I'm disgusted. I hate you all. I'm just playing. But the reason why disgust is my pilot, Bridget. Oh, you didn't think I was going to admit this on camera?
That's your cultural pilot.
It's my cultural pilot. Is because I know what's possible, and so I get disgusted when I see people playing themselves.
Yeah.
Like, you're playing in your own face. You think I'm playing in your face? You were already playing in your own face before I got here.
Yeah.
And so I think I want so badly to, like, root for folks that when people fail themselves, I get disgusted. But the thing is, though, when you see people doing true shadow work, disgust is, like, completely taken over by joy. I'm like, oh my God, this bitch is not full of shit. I'm so happy for you. Oh my God, you really are telling me the truth. Like, I get so happy.
There's relief in that.
There literally is a deep sense of relief when somebody actually is who they say they are.
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to people virtue signaling and acting as if, and an example of virtue signaling, guys, for those of you who don't use that term very often, is if you're having a bad day And before you even sit with your feelings, somebody tries to tell you, well, you have some nerve having a bad day because you have so much. They're trying to signal to you to shut down your real emotions to focus on a virtue instead. They use virtue to silence you. That is virtue signaling. A lot of people do that shit. Which is why even if someone is not having great perspective, I still let them the plane first. I don't ever want to make them silence real, valid, unsavory feelings to focus on the virtue instead, because now they're a slave to that virtue.
Right.
And spiritual bypassing is what happens in the church a lot.
Also, you are participating in adding another layer of shame and guilt around what it is that they're feeling already. So you're not
listening.
Well, you're dismissing.
Yeah, virtue signal dismisses all real feelings to focus on virtue instead. Yeah. And spiritual bypassing means, well, you can't worry about nothing because you need to worry about God. Like, it's just bypass everything because God is the answer. And so between spiritual bypassing and virtue signaling and toxic positivity, the self-help movement has made these really harmful things. Yeah. Things that we clap for. And here I am in the corner of the room like, why'd y'all invite me to this shit? Y'all know I do not get down like this. I'm always scared when they say, do you want to ask a question? Because I feel like when I ask a question, all of a sudden the room's like, oh shit, who let her in the room, right? Yeah. And I will say this as well, before we pivot, guys, because we are about to pivot before it gets greasy. Because there's some things I will not say unless it's behind a paywall.
Correct.
Right? And again, everything is fine. This is your chance. This is like the crossover episode of Girlfriends when Derwin and Melanie came over. And the next thing you know, you were about to start watching the game. It's the same thing. We're doing a crossover episode where I want to, in part 2 of this conversation, talk about how people weaponize and intentionally or unintentionally cause harm using performative wellness.
And also, I would like, if you don't mind, for people that do have notebooks, to
real notebooks, yeah,
real notebooks, to also give some people some discernment tools, because I think what ends up happening is, for people that are new to wellness practices, or they're trying to go a little bit deeper, they don't know what to look for, like what signs to look for when something may not be for them. Yeah. Right? Because I think, again, when you personalize something, you can make an objective statement about something as it applies to you. Yeah. Right? Like I made that statement about Reiki. If I implore everyone to try it, if that's something that works for you, that's not my ministry. It's a no for me, dog.
The Reiki masters are deleting their comments now that they were going to yell at you.
Give me acupuncture. Give me the acupuncture. I'm here for put needles in my body about the things that I'm.
And that's the beautiful thing about discernment is it gives you the ability to know what's for you and what's not for you.
And I think sharpening that is important for anybody that's on a wellness journey at any point, because sometimes you get comfortable in feeling like you have it figured the fuck out, and there's still another level for you to reach. You haven't really transcended. That's to your point, the part of mastery is understanding that there's never really supposed to be a plateau. And if you plateau, then there's a lesson that you missed somewhere along the way.
Or you might just have followed a whole fraudulent train of thought. Because I can't tell you how many people who have told me, I already did the work. Past tense as if they're dead, because how do you stop doing the work while you're still breathing? And then they get to know me and we're talking more, and you can see their brains crack like, I might not have done the work.
Maybe that wasn't work. Maybe that wasn't the work. Maybe that was the warm up.
It's like Spider-Man, right? Yeah. And the reason why I want people to understand how full of shit the wellness community has become is because when you're walking around, it's like Credit Karma. Yeah. Credit Karma will tell you that you have an 815 score. Yeah. And then you apply to an Old Navy card and you get declined. Yeah. And now you're embarrassed because you really only had a 675, right? So you're walking out in the world all strong and wrong, proud of something that wasn't real. People who deal with performative wellness, when they meet people who've actually done shadow work, they're embarrassed. They're embarrassed. Yeah. And they meet people like me and you, and they're like, oh, shit, I thought I was healed. This bitch is triggering me. And she's chilling. Yeah. Like she's sipping on tequila at 10 a.m. like nothing's going on while I want to fight the air. Put your fix her face.
She is, though, actually sipping on tequila.
Look, okay, I went to bed at 8 a.m. It's really 2 p.m. in my head. No, we're going to get into it. So we're going to stop here, guys. Yeah. For those of you who are not listening, because one more time for the folks in the back, if you want to follow the rest of this conversation, please go to the description box. It is going to tell you patreon.com/everythingisfine_. I'm repeating it because of people who are listening audio only. Yes. And for the emotional intelligence course, the link for that will also be in the description. Please do not ask us questions. Everything will be in the description. Bridget, is there anything you want to say before we pivot over to the second half of the show?
No, just that I'm excited for the second half of this conversation because I'm really looking forward to getting some of these tools myself, because I think for the sake of support, that we are all, to some degree, we have been in certain moments, not consistently, but in certain moments, slave to optics.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I'm excited to get into what it looks like breaking that cycle, because I think when you are in this industry, when you are trying to break into the industry and establish more connections and expand your network in that way, optics are important. And so creating a balance between what wellness looks like, it's going to be shocking for y'all to realize that optics has nothing to do with wellness, but we're going to do a deep dive into this on Patreon. So make sure you sign up, join us over there.
All right, we'll see you second half Patreon. Bye.
Bye.
See, that was easy.